Hello everyone, welcome to Wrestling Royalty. I am of course Andy. I'm not going to mess around today. I'm just going to go straight into a big epic intro, and I've got a very special guest on who we're going to crack on with a bit of a Q&A. So without further ado, here is that epic intro. As I said, I've got a very special guest today. I'm really excited to have a bit of a chat with him ahead of what promises to be a massive show in Newcastle this weekend at North Wrestling inside Walker Dome. It is Thunderstruck. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to the postmodern wrestler, the North champion, Liam Slater. Let me add him to the stream. Here he comes. Liam, how are you doing?
Andy, hey man, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm really good, thanks. I'm really excited for you to take a bit of time out of your day to have a chat with me. I know you've not got too much time because you're a busy guy ahead of what is, as I said just a couple of seconds ago, a massive weekend for you.
Huge weekend, yeah.
So we'll jump straight in. And there is a question, and I introed you with that term, postmodern wrestler. I'm really interested to hear from yourself as to what exactly does that mean?
So basically, the essence of it is that I've always felt a little bit at ends with the world of modern professional wrestling. Just sort of the nuances and the stereotypes and staples of it. And I've always looked at it with like quite a critical lens of why are certain things happening? Why does it feel like we need to do these things? Why is it that the onus isn't on the professional wrestling and it's on everything else? And it's taken me years to sort of come to a conclusion of being a postmodern pro wrestler, basically. And what I don't say in that is that I'm the only one that's thinking that way. I am a postmodern pro wrestler. There are many people out there that sort of have a similar philosophy to it. It's just that I want to bring it to a forefront of what I do.
That's great. And obviously on that kind of that trailer before, you've got Pursuit Pro Wrestling in Sheffield. How important is it for you to kind of train the next generation of British wrestlers potentially with that mindset as well?
Massively. Now, what I'll say is that while I think in that sense, that's not to say that everybody has to think in that mindset. And like modern wrestling obviously does incredibly well out of it. I've always just felt a little bit at ends with it. But I mean, that's the beauty of the art form of professional wrestling, is that we can take it and perceive it however we want to perceive it. So for me, it's not so much that everybody has to have the same mindset as me. It's just that everybody has to have a mindset, or not everybody has to have a mindset. I would like everybody to have a mindset that I train, that they can be whatever they want to be, whoever they want to be, as long as they are doing it safely, correctly, and to the utmost of their ability.
Absolutely. And one of the things you've kind of been able to put your stamp on is North Wrestling as champion. We're going into Thunderstruck this weekend. How excited are you for what promises to be the biggest show the company's ever put on?
Oh, yeah, extremely excited. Yeah, I really can't wait for it. I feel like it's sort of a culmination of the work that North has been putting in, and a culmination of the work that I've been putting in as the North Wrestling champion. Like, I felt like it needed that after, and this is no discredit to Rory at all, because he's a fantastic wrestler and entertainer. It was very driven by story, and I wanted to give the North Wrestling Championship a wrestling prestige again. So I feel like that's been moving forward. I feel like this is probably the biggest match that the championship has had in a long while, which is nice. And again, it's credit to the work that North have put in, that, you know, we've got to this point at the Walker Activity Dome, and like it's set to be a massive show.
You touched on it there, actually. I have a question that I've written down, was about that series of matches you had with Rory Coyle. How now do you feel like you've kind of transformed, and he kind of did answer it there a little bit. Did you feel like you transformed North more into your vision of wrestling and kind of almost pure wrestling as well?
Not so much that I transformed all of North, just that I gave the championship a different outlook and a different perspective for it, which again is no discredit to what Rory was doing, because he had a great run with a belt and it was much needed to bring people back from like post-pandemic. I just felt like the belt needed a wrestling prestige to it that I feel like it's got now. And I think people look at the belt and they go, oh, that's a wrestling championship, which hopefully the lineage of that continues through.
I don't want to blow your cover, but I have noticed when I've been at the North shows that you tend to stick around at the back watching a lot of the other matches before your own. What's the kind of reason behind that? Is that just a love of wrestling, or is it a kind of scouting out what you might, pick up from other wrestlers and if you ever have a match with them in the future?
It's a bit of all of it, really. Like I enjoy watching pro wrestling, so the fact that I get to be at a show and watch it is always nice. It's me understanding what has happened before on the show that I might need to tweak things or change things and whatnot to make sure that we have an entertaining show. Also, like a lot of the people that are on North, like a vast majority of the card tends to come through PPW or at least train with us at PPW. So I'm also watching from the point of being a coach and being a trainer that, I'm looking at them and the stuff that we've worked on, if there's anything that I need to recognize out of it. And also we've got a bunch of talent that is on the North shows. It's just a pleasure to watch, both of those that have come out of PPW and across the country everywhere else. It's just really fun to watch. Sometimes it's to my own detriment because then I go, oh God, I've got a match and like I'm on next. But for the most part, I just enjoy watching it.
Yeah, I mean, one of those talents that you were kind of hinting at there is one that you're going to be facing at this weekend in Leon Slater. You've had an interesting vantage point of his career so far. How good is he, and how much of a challenge is he going to prove to you this weekend?
I mean, already he's one of the UK's best, without question. He's set to be one of the world's best. It's funny, and I've said this to him since pretty much day one of at some point he's going to have to leave us and fly out and do loads of other things because that's how he's going to grow and that's how he's going to develop, and he has the talent for it. So he's extremely good at such a young age. Like he's 18 still. Like he's not turned 19 yet. It's a ridiculous talent to have at this age. In saying that, it's the match itself is going to be bittersweet in a sense. For I don't want to say the culmination of what I've done, but I'm on the back ends of what I'm doing. He's on the forefront of what he's doing. I almost need this as a way of me going, cool, I can hang with these, like a person of his level. And I also want this to be a match for him where he goes, yeah, Liam can hang in with the people that he's wrestling at the moment.
I mean, you've faced some of the biggest names in wrestling today. And just before this, I was actually watching your match with Cody Rhodes back in WCPW. Do you look back on your matches, or is it one of those ones where you kind of like, you don't like to, you just keep looking forward? Because that match in particular, that was a good 10-minute match against someone who arguably is one of the biggest names in the industry at the moment.
So it's funny, like, now I do watch stuff back pretty much not as soon as it's happened, but like I'll try and get it recorded, or like I'll watch back everything that I'm doing. I do think that's important to look at and see how the execution of everything's gone and the ideas that I had, and did they play out. Around that time period, I wasn't. We've watched them back in that we've sat, and like myself and Nathan Black, who also runs PPW with me, we've sat and we've watched that match, and he's asked me about it and what about this choice and what about that choice. And if I'm honest with you, I don't massively remember much about the planning stage of it or actually doing the match itself. With the WCPW days, I was doing so much stuff in terms of the helping setting up of the building and all that sort of stuff, that the matches themselves were just an additional point out of it. I do look back on that and I do not so much regret it, but I wish that I'd have taken more time to like chat with the people that I was working with. But at the same point, it's led me up to where I am now. So it wouldn't have mattered anyway, and I would have continued to go that way. But yeah, like it was a pleasure to step in with like people like Cody. I wish I'd have taken more time at the time to pick the brains and get more out of them.
Yeah, I mean, another one, I was writing a list of people that I can see that, the bigger names that are around in the industry at the moment. You face Johnny Gargano, Cody Rhodes, Will Ospreay, Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate. Who did you enjoy being in the ring with the most? And who do you think you kind of like learned the most from in the ring as well?
So in terms of who I enjoyed being in there with, I feel like the Tyler Bate match that I had, I feel like we could have got more out of that, or at least it had legs to get more from it. I wish that all those people that I was wrestling now rather than then. More so because while I was okay, I didn't have the mind to go, oh, and this and this and this, and like piece bits together or pick the brains about deeper stuff. Whereas now I feel like I'm in a far better place to do that. Whereas at that time, it was very much like, I've got these bits, they've got these bits, and we sort of put them together through there. Again, it was a very modern way of looking at pro wrestling that I just didn't massively click with. Do you know what? In terms of what I learned from them, I wouldn't massively say that there was massive learning experiences from any of those like WCPW shows, and the title ones as well with Gargano. It was my time with Megaslam and NGW where I was doing the camp shows, which are family like Butlins and Pontins and that sort of stuff, where I was able to go out in front of an audience that didn't massively know what wrestling was, and make sure that they had a good time, and how, you know, we worked in front of an audience and what was needed and what wasn't needed. They were the real learning experiences that I had that I think have made me into the wrestler that I am today.
No worries. I've just got a few questions left for you, but one of the ones I would like to personally know, because I write for a rock and wrestling website, is your theme song, the Idols song that you come out with. Is there a story behind that? What was the kind of like choice behind it?
So entrance music's extremely important to me. Whether that comes from like the Venga Boys days and me coming out to We Like to Party, which isn't massively a me song, but it was needed at the time. To then using Humble at North as a representation of the character. The music that I choose has always sort of been like a representation through. So when it came to the run going up to the championship, if you look back over that time period, I have a new song every single time that I come out. They're all sort of like post-punk, late 70s, early 80s tracks. That was all intentional of like the vibe that I was looking for and the intent that I was looking for. Idols are a band that I look at in terms of their live presence and their energy that they have, and the way that they use their music as a speaking point and a soapbox to talk about important issues that they think about. I look at that and I go, that's a really cool use of that. So that was the main aim out of it. And I just think they're a cool band, and it sounded cool. So there was those factors into it. I actually wanted to go with something a bit more somber. Like I use Bauhaus, Bela Lugosi's Dead at a lot of shows, but it just didn't fit the aesthetic of what I was looking for at North. It didn't fit the celebration of me being a champion. Whatever ends up happening as we move forward, as my entrance music changes, there's always a reason behind it changing.
Oh, that's cool. You kind of mentioned it when you were talking about Leon earlier, about proving to yourself that you can kind of hang with that. What do you want your mark to be on the wrestling industry when you eventually do kind of hang the boots up?
I would. This is actually a lot of the reason for what I do at the moment. I would love people to look back at my matches in 5, 10 years, 15 years time and go, oh, that's interesting. That's different. I like that style. I like how he's executed that, like I do with a lot of the stuff that I watch at the moment. Alex Shelley's like a big inspiration for me, and I watch his matches and I go, that's interesting. I like the way that he's moved there. I liked how he's pieced that together. I like that intensity that he's bringing there. And I would love for people to watch my matches in a similar way. Like I've wanted this North run with the championship to be a bit of a start point in terms of, hey, Liam does cool wrestling and this is what he does out of it. Not particularly like fancy and flippy and that sort of stuff, just good, solid professional wrestling.
No worries. And the last question is, what is it that makes North so special, and why should people be coming along on Saturday or tuning in later on Fight Plus?
For me, North is genuine in that the love, the passion that is given from everybody that wrestles at North or like is involved in the backstage of North is all built out of a genuine love of professional wrestling and of North wrestling. From pretty much day one, it's been a a grassroots organization of let's do this because we love professional wrestling, not because we want to, you know, make the most money, because that's not why people are in wrestling, or because, you know, we want to be WWE or whatever. It was because we love professional wrestling in all sorts of forms out of it. There's a very like punk DIY feel to it that I gravitate towards and love, that is then, you know, the heart of North has shown through time and time again that people go, this is a company that I care about. And actively, Bowers, who runs North, gives back to them, and people care about him and he cares about people. And that link, I think, genuinely comes through into an audience, that the audience go, this is something that I want to be a part of and I want to grow with, which is why this show is a sort of culmination of that, a celebration of what North is and has been over however many years we've been running now. So yeah, like Saturday is set to be, I would say, a jumping on point for anybody that doesn't know about North, and a celebration for anybody that does know about North, whether that be watching it live in person or watching it on Fight TV. I think both are good options.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. Just before we go out for the outro, I just want to say good luck for Saturday. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm sure everyone else who's got a ticket or is going to buy a ticket is going to be in for a hell of a show as well. So I really appreciate you taking some time to chat with us.
Cheers, Andy. No worries at all. Thank you very much.
Catch you soon. Thank you.